The fixed wing and helicopter have just gone up into the sky and they've spotted a crash of 5. So we're all racing up to where they're located. When we're a little bit closer, then the vet will dart from the helicopter and then we'll run in on foot.
Kruger National Park and the greater Kruger National Park area has suffered from very aggressive poaching in the last, say, 10 years, and that's what's led us to do what we're currently doing with these rhino trimmings.
The mission of Wild Wonderful World is to protect wild spaces and the animals within that. Rhino dehorning is probably one of the most difficult projects that we do. It's not something that anybody wants to do, to take a horn off of a rhino. And as guides, we took so much pride in showing guests from all around the world these beautiful prehistoric looking animals with their incredible horns. And to see a rhino walking around these days with no horns is heartbreaking. So when it comes to a rhino dehorning operation, there's many moving parts. When it comes to the ground team's responsibilities, the first thing that we need to do when we get to the animal is to stabilize them. So that involves giving a partial reversal of the drugs that we use to immobilize them, and then making sure that the animal's positioned nicely. So they can stay on their side if they need to, but it's just much easier to work with them when they're laying on their bellies. 3, 2, 1, boom! And then secondly, we're placing things to reduce stimulus. So we're going to put a blindfold over their eyes, we're going to put some earmuffs in, and that just helps to calm the animals down. You'll see as soon as that blindfold goes on, the animal almost immediately is able to just calm down and eventually get down to the ground. So once ears are in, once reversal's in, we just get IV access. So we put a catheter in the vein in the ear, and that just means if there's any complications during the anesthesia, then we can reverse them immediately, so we don't have any issues there. And then from there, it's basically processing the rhino.
When we cutting the horn off with a chainsaw, it's the same as if you're clipping your fingernail. So the vets, they've been doing this so long, it's become such a good practice. You know, if you cut your nails, it doesn't hurt at all. Obviously, if you go too deep, then it does hurt. It's the same with the rhino, and they know where that limit is.
To actually see the operation where they're taking off the horn and chainsawing this thing off of an animal's face feels so wrong. But you also know that it's the lesser of two evils, because at least that animal still gets up and walks at the end of the day.
There's a massive medicinal belief that there's a traditional use in many sort of ways of horn, whether it's ground up or I don't even know how the people use it. But it's a traditional medicinal belief problem, and that's the issue, because obviously through education and trying to get people to understand that there's no medicinal value to the horn, you know, because it's basically fingernail, that's the big pressure that we have to try and stop it, and the demand is huge. There's two different levels of poaching that people often talk about. One is someone who's trying to get food, and then the other is big sort of crime syndicates, and those are people who are coming to kill rhino and steal their horn.
Seeing a poached rhino changed everything that I did and that I wanted to do. I was guiding, I had guests, there was vultures in a tree, you drive around a corner and there was a poached rhino. Obviously you don't know at the time necessarily that it's been poached, of course there's natural causes, but it was in the middle of the rifest poaching that South Africa had ever seen, and you put 2 and 2 together. Her horn was off, that's what we needed to see. Is it died of natural causes, is the horn there or not there? If it hasn't, it's been poached, and her face was gone.
It's super sad if you ever see it, but they cut the whole base plate. So they've essentially cut the top part of the rhino's face off. Sometimes those rhinos aren't even dead when they're doing it.
You don't unsee something like that. It stays with you forever. The future of rhinos, I think right now, is sitting on a knife edge. Either we're going to keep putting along with dehorning the populations that we've got and fighting for every rhino that we've got left. I think with technological advances and changes in how we can protect rhinos, that might help. But we're fighting a losing battle against the conservation team and the poachers, because the poaching syndicates always will outfund us and they will always have more resources than us. And if it just comes head to head, they will win eventually. If we can get enough people to support, to change mentalities, to spread the message, to work together to protect the rhinos, then I think we stand a chance.